Sound check. Popping popcorn kernels. Poppity pop pop popping candy.
Kernels, Sanders, 11 different secret herbs and spices. This episode is brought to you by KFC. I like it like that.
Pretty sure it's currently finger licking good.
Oh, it's back to finger licking good, is it?
It might be.
Wow. That's what it was when I was a kid.
Yeah. Everything
Or is it
happens
I
in
love
cycles.
I love it. I don't know.
KFC Australia tagline. Yeah, it's been finger licking good for a while, though apparently they decided to change it because of COVID-19. Right. According to this article, which I don't entirely trust, they've changed it from it's finger licking good to it's good.
Right.
Yeah.
Shut up and take my money.
Colin had a problem and a microphone to spare. Thomas took it up and so the podcast went to air. For weeks and months they trolled through every single DVD. They've unwrapped all the ones they can and now they're cellulose free. Now they're cellulose free.
Hello, dear listener, and welcome to Cellulose Free, the Bombshell edition. My name is Colin, and with me as always is my fellow film watcher compadre and son, Thomas.
Hi.
So what have you been up to?
Mostly, no, that's not true. It hasn't mostly been that.
Nose picking?
No.
Scratching scabs?
One of the things that I've been doing this week...
Chewing your toenails?
Is trying to write up a presentation about a thing that's coming up very soon in order to inform some people in this household who don't take steps to inform themselves, despite mounds of encouragement.
Yeah, you know. Each to their own. Everyone has a passion, hopefully, and yours leans in the political direction sometimes.
Yeah.
But there are other members of the family whose inclinations are not directed in that way either. So
I would so love if they would do their own research, because it would make things a lot simpler for me.
Well, don't overthink it. Just...
I have bad news. I have been overthinking it quite badly.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
That's not the bombshell.
No.
What else have you been up to?
A package arrived.
I did.
Yep.
With pics in it?
No.
Oh.
No, this was the one from America.
Right. Okay.
It had a box set in it.
Right.
Layered top and bottom with airbags.
So your box set has finally arrived,
Hmm.
but not your pics.
No. My felt pics, which I have a refund for because the tracking number that I received was not for them, have not arrived, and I don't know if they ever will.
They may not.
There's a good chance that one of the couple of pre-ordered books that I'm waiting on will arrive before the pics do.
And any shirts on the way?
No.
That hasn't happened yet?
Not that I'm aware of.
I'll keep that under wraps.
Yeah.
Then.
What have you been up to?
Oh, look, nothing much. Today has been a bit of a weird day. I've sort of been...
I expect so.
Pacing. I mean, it's not had any physical impact on me.
No.
But there's been a bit of a physical impact on my wife, your mother, who now has 24 staples in her head and one less basal cell carcinoma from her scalp. So a bit of day surgery and a bit of office works. Paraphernalia now adorns her head. Yes. Oh, we laugh, but yes, it's been a funny old day. I got that close to counselling today because my head space is not entirely in the place that will produce our normally sterling and wonderful podcast production values and quality. So if I'm off my game, then that sort of explains why.
And next week, you will not be having plasma drawn.
No, next week I will not be having plasma drawn. So I'll be pacing the house thinking, I should be donating plasma today. No, hopefully it'll be a fine day and I'll get out for a walk, which I didn't do today, even though it was a nice day.
You know what isn't shaping up to be a fine day?
What's that?
Saturday.
Oh, isn't it?
No.
Oh, well, that's what happens when they call elections sorry, it's a by-election, isn't it?
Which is why it's the second Saturday of September and not the first Saturday of May.
Good.
Or 2025, for that matter.
That's random. All right. We have a podcast to make.
We do.
And to do so, we need to watch some random film. I picked it. What is it?
It is John Carpenter's Starman.
Now, would I be correct in thinking you have not watched any John Carpenter?
I'm pretty sure I haven't.
Right.
I know the outline of how most of them go because they're influential films, and so of course I've read about them.
Yeah, that's interesting too, in that I went to double check what we have on the shelf as far as John Carpenter is concerned, and do you know what we have?
Is it 2 words, and are those words Jack and Squat?
No, it would be Starman. That's it.
I mean, other than
that. Well,
other than
see,
this.
I didn't make that qualification. But yes, the only one on the shelf is Starman. So, of his vast catalogue, that's the only one. And we're being screamed at right now from various corners of the world, saying, shame on you.
Frankly, I hadn't realised how much he branched out, but...
Oh, yes. Yeah, it's kind of bizarre, his career, especially considering he also composed the music for a lot of his films as well.
And now I can't remember if this was one of them. No, this is one of the ones that he didn't compose for.
What is Starman all about?
Well...
we have a problem here.
So, first of all, this copy is from France.
Yes.
Which means that the cover on it is in French. And obviously that's a problem for an English-speaking household. And so...
We spent all week prior to last week, learning Japanese to watch Space Battleship Yamato. And we'll spend all this week learning French to watch the US production Starman.
And so, someone... And I suspect probably you, especially given that it has an Australian PG symbol on the back of it.
Yep.
Has, we assume, laser printed off.
Well, the information that you gave as far as when it was bought off eBay does strongly suggest that, yes, I did print it on a laser printer. At that stage, we did have a colour laser printer. For
as much as a colour laser printer is worth as far as printing things in colour.
Well, I had to download somebody else's image of the back cover, so just to get the barcode so that I could scan it in.
The top right of this printed off back cover has the logo for the now defunct DVD user group.
So it is a French copy. I believe it does have the English soundtrack, which brings us back around to the problem that you are facing as far as giving us a plot synopsis.
I think last week you commented on the low quality of the transcription from the back. And I can see how.
If it was transcribed from this poor quality laser print of it, yes. But I can't imagine me doing that.
Anyway.
Give it your best shot. Aim for the stars,
that
man.
Bit is dark. That bit is dark. I'm making it darker and harder to read. On August 20, 1977, the Voyager 2 probe was launched into deep space. It carried an infotainment. It carried an invitation to other intelligent species in the universe to visit our planet. Somewhere, someone listened.
A change of pace for the director of such hits as Halloween, Escape from New York, and The Thing. Starman is John Carpenter's spellbinding sci-fi odyssey about a benevolent alien explorer stranded on Earth, and the woman who becomes his only hope for survival. Powered by the remarkable performances of Jeff Bridges in his Academy Award-nominated role, 1985 Best Actor, and Karen Allen from Raiders of the Lost Ark, and featuring special effects from ILM, a stirring music score, and a wondrous story, Starman is a spectacular example of a movie's power to move us.
I don't know, the plot actually sounds like it's been completely ripped off from Star Trek the Motion Picture. Anyway, that is what we're watching today. Thomas is going to open the case. He's going to take the disc out of its case. He's going to pop it into the machine. We are going to watch this film, Thomas's first foray into the world of John Carpenter. Then we're going to come back and talk about it. So we shall catch you on the flip side.
Turn to side B.
Sure, we'll do that.
This case is terrible.
So are tomatoes. So what did you think?
That was fine.
It was fine. Uh-huh.
Very standard.
Yeah. That pretty much encapsulates it. It's a very step by step by step by step. This is the beginning, this is the end, and this is the straight line that goes from beginning to end.
Human meets alien, human is weirded out, alien makes friends with human, alien gets away by skin of teeth.
The end. But they all sort of live happily ever after, as far as we know.
Well, we end the film right after the alien gets away by the skin of its teeth, so...
Okay, well, as a spoiler, there was technically a sequel, but not a movie.
Right.
2 years later, they made a 22-episode TV series that purportedly occurs 14 years later. And the Starman returns looking for her and her son. And the 22 episodes cover that. Different actors, and I've only got vague recollections of it. As it was getting towards the end, I kept on thinking, they're setting this up for a sequel, and then my mind thought, hang on, I think they did, and had to go onto IMDb, and yeah, sure enough, it was I don't think I saw the entire series. It was pretty unremarkable and quite forgettable. I could be wrong. Because, as I say, I don't recall watching all of it.
Well, looking at its Wikipedia page, that seems about right.
Yeah. But I do confess that I don't recall how extremely clunky in places it is. Particularly the dialogue between secondary characters. It's very much... scripted rather than natural dialogue that people say to one another. I kept on thinking with these interactions that's a completely unnatural conversation. That is somebody writing these words, and it just doesn't feel like a natural flow of conversation, and grates, I guess. I mean, not that I can write dialogue very well myself, but my one big film production, most of the dialogue got replaced by the actors.
Oh no, we weren't Iron Manning it.
Sorry?
We weren't Iron Manning it, though.
How do you mean?
Didn't they come up with most of the plot as they were going along too? I seem to...
He's making it up, people.
Because I know a lot of the dialogue in Iron Man was improvised.
I think that's got a lot to do with the actor involved.
Well...
So,
No, okay, they had a plot, and not much else. they had a plot,
I like that film,
and some set pieces, and then they made up everything in between.
Well, I thought it worked.
Oh, it did.
Yeah,
It worked just fine.
as for this movie, yeah, quite wooden in places. The dynamic between the two major characters, though, developed quite well, I thought. It was quite well done. Speaking of other things that are well done, the special effects were quite variable throughout, even though ILM supposedly had quite a bit to do with it. There was a lot of green screening that looked glaringly bad.
Oh, they shot him upside down. That's how they did that.
But the transformation from baby to adult, apart from that one little bit of animation, I thought the changing of camera shots made that sequence work remarkably well for what was predominantly a practical effect. Apart from that one little segment, the change of face was animated and clashed with the rest of what I thought was done quite well.
Oh yes, that's obviously clay.
So I found that interesting. The other thing that I found interesting was the recollection of how much Uncanny Valley younger Jeff Bridges in Tron Legacy was. And the reason I thought that was that a lot of his facial expressions in this, I'm quite sure, appeared in that. They obviously had need of reference shots, and this film has got plenty of younger Jeff Bridges reference facial expressions.
Yeah.
And some of it looked very much like, I've seen that face before.
Yeah. You need reference for the inside of Jeff Bridges' mouth? We've got that.
But he does an unnatural look in this, and that unnatural look also appeared in the youngified version of Jeff Bridges in Tron Legacy.
The bravery of that stumbling walk down into the crater.
Yes.
I wouldn't want to make sure my footing was sure.
Now, I could be wrong, but I believe that dear listener Helen has been to that crater. It may have been a different crater, but I got this feeling it was actually that one. I could be making that up. Dear listener Helen, if you are listening, please confirm or deny.
Barringer Crater? Or Meteor Crater, as it's also known, because it was a meteor crater.
It was a meteor crater, indeed.
America has all sorts of creative names.
That was another special effect that just didn't quite work for me, was the side-on view of the large ship descending. The looking up view, as it was coming through the atmosphere, I thought looked quite realistic, but that side-on view just...
For a while I was thinking, what is that? And it wasn't actually until the side shot that I realised, oh, okay, yes, it is a perfectly smooth, reflective sphere. Of course it looks like that as it's descending onto the crater. Of course it looks like it has a crater on it.
Oh, okay. Of course. Yes. Okay, that explains why I also thought that looks weird, but okay, that explains it. My brain is a little slower than yours, but it's older and wiser. So, quite a passable film, but yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, not
for
much
me.
else.
No. Have you got anything else you wish to?
Nope.
No. It's, I guess, a Friday night, late night movie type movie. Sort of a notch above B grade, but yeah.
It does some things right and it does some things wrong, and none of those in particularly interesting ways.
And throw in the fact that it was made in the 80s when techniques were being developed and things were being tried that hadn't been tried before. Yeah, so it was very much a mixed bag. Well, I got nothing else to say about Starman. I am really glad that I finally got to watch it again. I was in my mid to late teens when I watched this the first time, and don't think I've revisited it since. But the music has stuck with me. I knew how the music went. Not that I'm saying that it was a particularly wonderful soundtrack. It certainly wasn't as wonderful, I don't think, as the blurb on the back of the case suggests. But it is memorable, and possibly part of that was to do with the fact that it used quite a radical new synthesizer of the time.
And I think Flight of the Navigator used that synthesizer better.
Yes. Yes. All right. So if you've got nothing else to say,
Nope.
we will move on then.
The following segment has no title. Please keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times.
Entwasratu writes in simply to say that he is also shocked that this is a John Carpenter film.
That's a bit of foreshadowing. Hi into Osferatu. But yes, it is very much out of... I think he was trying to be Steven Spielberg, but still be John Carpenter. Yeah, he's actually done quite a few different genres, sci-fi and horror, and this was, I guess, his attempt at E.T. Yeah. Well, thank you, Entu Osferatu, for that comment.
And over on Facebook,
Hi, Facebook.
Helen
Hi, Helen.
writes in to say that we didn't actually say what the file name for Paranorman was.
I'm sure we did. Did you check?
I didn't check,
Neither
but
did I.
don't... I feel like we might have forgotten, actually.
Oh dear. I don't know whether I've got record of that anymore. We'll have to look into it.
Wow.
Well, maybe I did. Hang on. Let me just... Don't whistle in my ear. Oh, hang on. Okay. Did Helen make a suggestion for Paranorman?
Yes, last week when we said it was wrong and then didn't say what was right.
Oh, okay, because I thought... did somebody else also make a...
No, I don't think so.
So you left me hanging there. It's your fault. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Helen's guess for Paranorman was Paranorman with all the vowels taken out.
Right, which was wrong.
Yes.
Yes.
And the right answer was...
The right answer was P-R-A, para, N-M-N. Nmen.
Right.
Paranorman.
So close.
So close, but
No.
Wrong.
And then last week we also said that you had not changed the file name, but Helen has still guessed Yamato.
And that is what I ended up changing it to as I was editing the episode before it came out. So Y-A-M-A-T-O. That one is obvious.
Well, you say that.
Yes, I do. I say that. So well done, Helen, for getting that, but too bad with Paranorman.
Helen also thanks me for the cultural commentary, which apparently helped.
Good.
And she's sure she watched at least some of Star Blazers, but it sort of blurs in her mind with Astro Boy and Kimber the White Lion.
Yes, that's... Although those two are far more tightly related than Star Blazers is. But yes, it is a bit of a blur.
And finally...
Yes?
addressed to you...
Right.
Sometimes poetry does not have to be great. It just has to do a job, and apparently yours did.
It was still really bad.
I have to admit, I had barely realised that you were reading poetry until you said that it was poetry.
Ow! Ow, that is harsh. It's the type of poetry that's better looked at, read, than listened to. Well, that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Right, I think that's it then.
Yes, that was everything that I could find.
Okay. Well, while we're in this segment, before we go into the next one, I'm going to drop the bombshell. Thomas is completely oblivious to the bombshell that I'm about to drop. Okay, this is our 84th episode. Our 84th episode of this particular series of Cellulose Free. And we had 90-something episodes of Still Under Wraps before that. I am feeling it.
That is the impression that I've been getting.
Not so much the watching of the film and sitting down and talking about it afterwards. It's the Thursday editing. Yeah, it's feeling like it's run its course. However, I am prepared to hit the 100.
Okay.
Thomas is breathing a sigh of relief. Phew.
Mm-hmm.
So that means possibly a tightening up of our lists of films that we wish to review, possibly. So that if we shake our phones, then we're going to get something that we're even more wanting to watch than our big long lists. Maybe, maybe not. You may not want to. But yes, I'm committing to getting to a 100th and final episode, and that should bring us pretty much to the end of the year.
Just slightly past,
Yeah.
if my reckoning is right.
I did ask Google earlier today how many more weeks there are in the year, and it said 15, but I think that was a pretty vague estimate.
So we started at the start of last year. We took a week off in winter for no particularly memorable reason. We just needed a week off. And then Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah. We will have a Christmas special still.
Mm.
I think there's a film tucked away somewhere for the Christmas special. And there will be a Halloween special, I'm guessing. I don't know.
So if we take off the week of Christmas and the week of New Year's again,
Right.
then I think our last episode will be in the new year.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
I'm going to pull up a calendar.
Oh, look, it doesn't matter.
It does matter.
All right, I'll let him pull up a calendar as soon as I've dropped this bombshell on him. He who foresaw 15 years of this podcast. And the other bombshell I'm going to drop is that after this podcast, we'll have 2 weeks of break, and then we're going to do a live radio show. A radio drama. We're going to play all of the voices on this radio drama that's set in a small country town in Tasmania that's haunted by rabid native animals.
Okay.
He's not listening.
So, 15, 16.
Take away the number you first thought of.
So,
Divide by 3.
by my reckoning,
Mm-hmm.
our last episode, so we take the 21st and 28th of December off.
Right.
And then our last 2 episodes are on the 4th and 11th of January.
Right. So you're assuming that I am going to be able to race to the finish rather than...
Well, if you want to drag us out, you can.
All right. So that's the deal. And as I'm the boss, that's how it is.
You are the producer.
I am, and I'm in cutting funding. We've been bought out by Netflix, and they're not going to continue.
Which means that somehow I need to cut my list down to 8 films that I really want to talk about.
Well, yeah. As I said, you now have the opportunity to look at your list later, not now, because...
Pick a film for next week so we can go to bed.
It's your turn.
It is my turn, and now you've made me want to look at my list.
All right, I'll give you. I'll play some hold music whilst you look through your list.
Stop the recording. We'll come back to this.
Five hours later.
Well, it's not 5 hours, but I think it has genuinely been half an hour since we stopped recording.
So after dropping the bombshell,
Yeah.
Thomas has reduced his list of 50...
55 jumping off points that are on our shelf to 6 that are on our shelf and 2 on streaming.
Right. Now, I should point out that because I dropped the bombshell on him, I was quite prepared to give him all of the episodes that we had left, but he has trimmed ruthlessly so that I do have some options left. So I will have to trim my list. That being said, if there are any movies that you, dear listener, feel that we really, really, really have to watch and talk about before we wrap up, then please let us know and we will put that into consideration. I'll add those to my list if we decide between us that, yes, we could do an episode on that. So put your thinking caps on, dear listener, and make a suggestion of a film that we really should visit before we close the final curtain. Now, speaking of final curtains...
Yes.
We thank you for joining. No.
Okay. I'm not going to put you through the guessing rigmarole.
Right, okay.
Because this one is on streaming.
All right.
And I'm pretty sure it won't have been on your radar at all.
Right. Is it something you've seen?
This is a film that I've seen, yes.
Right. But you suspect it's something I haven't seen?
That is what I'm thinking,
okay.
Yes.
Right. Wow. This is... The upending of tables has caused a serious disturbance in the force.
So I won't make you guess.
Okay.
But this film stars Andy Samberg and Kristen Milioti with supporting actor J.K. Simmons.
Now that name actually sounds familiar. Mm-hmm. That last one sounds familiar. The other two don't.
And... the genres listed here are fantasy, comedy, romance.
Right.
And the film is called Palm Springs.
Is this the film that has a loop?
This film does have a loop in it.
That is actually on my list, my watch list on Just Watch. Yes, I've got that ticked as a film that I want to watch. So, cool.
Well, good news. We're watching it next week.
Next week, we're watching Palm Springs.
Which has a description on Prime Video that doesn't even mention the loop.
Well, I guess that's probably a spoiler then. I admire Prime's efforts in not dropping the bombshell like I have earlier by revealing that there is a twist, a wicked twist to this film.
And here is that description. It's a long run-on sentence.
As is the streaming service's tendency to do.
Usually shorter sentences than this, but here we go.
Okay.
When carefree Niles, played by Andy Samberg, and reluctant maid of honour Sarah, played by Kristen Milioti, have a chance encounter at a Palm Springs wedding, things get complicated when they find themselves unable to escape the venue, themselves, and each other.
What year was it made?
This film is from 2020.
Wow, it's a recent one. Cool.
And I believe it was purchased by Hulu in the US for some large sum and a number of cents.
For tax purposes, no doubt. All right, next week, Palm Springs. We hope that you can join us. And again, put on your thinking caps of any film that you think is worthy of our attention. But until then, we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
You have been listening to Cellulose Free. Your hosts were Colin, who produces and edits the show, and Thomas, who makes the artwork and music. Cellulose Free is recorded in the Deranged Cat Studios in scenic Tasmania, Australia. We keep track of our extensive physical media collection through My Movies, which we highly recommend. You can find links to that, as well as other places you can find us, in the show notes. Cellulose Free is a Hi Hello production.
Yeah, $17.5 million and 69 cents. Breaking the previous record for sale of a film by 69 cents.
Right. Okay. Good.
Although apparently the deal got higher once negotiations actually closed.
Sorry about that, Bombshell.
Yeah. I knew it was coming. I knew this was coming eventually, and I knew it was probably going to be at 100 episodes. And that was coming up so swiftly, and yet, did I prepare at all?
Well, it was a case of actually setting a solid deadline and trying to get to it, or just saying, no, that's it, completely. You know, saying, no, I've had enough. Yeah, it's one extreme or the lesser extreme, but something had to give.
Now, I should say, when I was earlier saying the dates of our last episodes, those are the recording days. Dear listener, you have us until the 12th of January.
Why are you talking to the... Oh, I'm still recording.
You are still recording.
Okay. Spoiler, dear listener. I'm stopping.